And good morning, everybody. Welcome. Hot Takes Goodman and Haertl. Bruce, I know how you love your hockey terms. Organization. You like the term biscuit in the basket.
I do.
Shots on goal. You can't have shots in goal without shots on goal. You like the phrase the boys. Lots of hockey terms. You have a new one to talk about today, just like everybody else does on television, radio, blogs, and podcasts like ours. Puck luck. That is going to be the term of the day.
Because the puck takes odd bounces every now and then, right? It ends up in places where you can't foresee it happening, and it happened a couple of times last night for the Avs. But more than anything, Eric, it kind of set the tone for the night, though, right? I mean,
9
really?
seconds in.
Yeah, it was so weird to see that thing get to where it was so quickly, and the Avs could never get past it. When they got back to 3-2, I was like, okay, here we go. This thing is going to get interesting. But even then, the Stars were able to just make plays when the Avs weren't, and puck luck. It's a good term. It is a good term, and it's an apt term. I don't want to make it sound like we're taking any credit away from the Stars, who I know you and I think are a fabulous hockey team, and they are proving to be a fabulous hockey team. But, man, you sure would have liked to have seen it bounce the other way. Now you got to go win 2 in a row, and that's tough to do against this team.
Hey, I want to say about Roller Auctions, big auction going on tomorrow, featuring computers, printers, televisions, cell phones, jewelry, watches, and more. Bidding has started at rollerauction.com. Don't forget to go to rollerauction.com to learn about upcoming auctions. Get what you want at the price you want today at Roller Auction. Time now for the lead.
The lead is presented by Smokin' Dave's Barbecue. It is not just the best barbecue in town, it is one of the best restaurants in town. You can find Smokin' Dave's Barbecue off 36th and Pecos.
Yeah, there was certainly some puck luck there on that first goal, on the second goal, and the timing of both goals really, I think, more than anything, crushed the Avalanche, even though, as you said, they came back. When you give up a goal to start a period, if you give up a goal to end a period, that is an emotional killer. And that happened a number of times, specifically in that first period. 9 seconds in, they score. You can make the case, was Mackenzie Blackwood even ready for the game, right?
Right.
Was even ready for the game. The second goal went off of his back with 44 seconds to play in the first period. Less than 2 minutes into the second period, another goal. And that kind of took a weird bounce onto one of the Stars' sticks, which turned into a break, and Rantanen winds up scoring. Then a minute 28 to go in the second period. So the first 4 goals that the Stars scored, those are absolute killers for a team, and they got 4 goals that way. But that certainly played a role, but here's something else to consider. Makar has not played particularly well in this series. Taves hasn't played particularly well in this series. Lehkonen has a goal or 2. I get that, but he hasn't been dominant. Nichushkin hasn't been dominant. And Bednar pointed that out as much as anything else. Cale Makar, he's a top 5 player in this league, and he hasn't even been a top 5 player on his own team in this series.
Yeah, they got to get more from their guys. Obviously, McKinnon is doing a good portion of the lifting, the heavy lifting in this thing. And obviously, Blackwood has been really good, other than, some bad luck or puck luck, as we're calling it, last night. But now, all of a sudden, it's funny, Eric, and at the risk of getting off on a tangent, reel me back in if I get there, but we've got latitude. Isn't it interesting, even in games where you think that you would be highly locked in, and there's nothing more to get locked in on than playoff games, that teams go through, and maybe it was bad puck luck last night for the Avs, but there was also a component of they didn't look quite ready to go out of the gate. You look at 2 nights ago, the Nuggets have such a dominant third period where they're just locked in. They're defending, they're hitting shots, they're making the Clippers pay with every miscue. And then in the fourth quarter, all of a sudden, when all you're asking them to do is close on a 22-point lead, they're powerless to do it. Okay, they faced a little zone. David Adelman talked about it yesterday. We stared at it. But isn't it interesting that the human component still is such a remarkable X factor in these games when we as fans watching it, or even media members, would just automatically assume that you're locked in. You're absolutely locked in. And boom, you're going to play with energy and focus. You're going to play well. And yet, when we take a look back at it, and to your point, there are certain guys that just haven't carried the water yet for this hockey team. And they need these guys to step forward now, because all of a sudden, it's not about urgency. It's about get it done now or you're done.
Game 4, the Avs came out flying and they worked over the Stars. I think a lot of people thought, okay, Avs are going to go to Dallas, win this game. It'll be done in 6. Peter DeBoer, head coach for the Stars, who, by the way, has a winning record, specifically in the playoffs against Jared Bednar and the Avs, challenged his top guys. He challenged Rantanen. He challenged Duchesne. He challenged those guys. Who played a major role in last night's win? It was those guys. Yeah. It was Wyatt Johnson. He had a couple of goals. The big guys stood up in that game. Every team is entitled to a stinker, for sure, in a 4-game series, in a 7-game series. The Avs had their stinker last night. They can't have another one.
No
margin for error anymore. They've already lost 2 overtime games. The Stars have been blown out twice. The Stars have blown out the Avs twice. But in the margin for error category, you got 2 overtime losses from Colorado. Now, the question is, was last night an outlier, an aberration, a fluke, puck luck, or is this an indication of things to come?
It's a fair question. And I'll roll back to chatting with David Adelman from the Nuggets yesterday, talking about every game is a reset in a playoff. Every game is a reset. We love to think in terms of momentum, and you created something over the course of 60 minutes, and that can carry over to the next game. But adjustments are being made. Film is being watched. Practice is being had. Things are being done. You are not going to allow someone to take the 2x4 that they used to split your head open the game previous and let them do the exact same thing to you. There was no way that Dallas was going to allow the Avs to come out flying unabated last night. And it never ended up being an issue. I think that they were dead even in shots. I think they were both fairly modest totals, 28, something like that. So it was an entirely different game. My point is, you don't know. And every game it tells a different story. And we're finding that out in this series.
Shots on goal were relatively even. There are 2 stats that were not even. The Avs out-hit.
Yeah.
But the Stars by a ton. But you can out-hit somebody all day. But if you don't have the puck on your stick, that's a problem.
Yeah.
And who had the overwhelming majority of face-off wins? It was Dallas. Getting back to what you said, when I used to play tennis in high school, this is what my coach said to me. Every point is a new point. And you are a pickleball guy. You play competitively. Eventually, you're going to be a pickleball coach when you decide to retire from this business. And maybe that's something that you say to all of your students. When you play, you can have a point that doesn't go well. But I remember every time when I was playing, whether I was serving or whether I was going back to the baseline to return a serve, I kept saying in my head over and over again, every point is a new point. This is a new opportunity to get back in it or to bury somebody.
Yeah, the brain is an interesting thing, isn't it? Because the message there, and it's a really good one, basically have a short memory.
Yes.
You have a short memory. Take the best out of the good and apply it, but take the best out of the bad and apply it, but move along quickly, because you've got to have clear thought, regardless of what's going on. You've got to have a clear brain. You can't be affected by something that you did. You're a golfer. You know better than anyone the helplessness of standing over a 4-foot putt that you know is going to move left to right downhill, and you're doing it for a $10 Nassau. It's amazing how the brain will speed you up or make you anxious, and it takes you off your line. It doesn't allow you to. All of those things are true, and I don't think it changes for anyone, regardless of the level. I think they get better at it, obviously, the further up you go, because they are in those situations much more regularly than any of the rest of us. But it's still a very real thing. And I will give you dollars to donuts that this phrase was mentioned last night. Short memory, got to move on. Got to get, and it is. It's a familiar refrain in locker rooms in every sport that is played on the face of God's green earth.
So they'll be saying every game is a new game, and for the Colorado Rockies, every game is a new way to lose. We're going to take a hard right turn here, because the Rockies are now literally sprinting into history. Braves beat the Rockies last night 6-3. Rocks have lost 15 of its last 16, joining the 2003 Tigers, the 1988 Orioles, the 1936 St. Louis Browns, as the only team since 1901 to lose 20 of their first 28 games. They are on pace, and I did a little bit of math last night. They're on pace to have a record of 23 wins. Let me repeat that. 23 wins and 139 losses. That is a winning percentage of a tick over 14% of their games. Let's put this into perspective. The 1899 Cleveland Spiders, not in the modern era, hold the record for the worst single season record percentage-wise in Major League Baseball history. 20-134. Remember, they played 154 games back then. That winning percentage was winning 12% of their games. The Spiders folded after that season. The Rockies are on pace, and they are the Pittsburgh Alligators in like 1899 had a winning percentage of winning 16% of their games. So the Rockies are on pace to have the second worst winning percentage of all time. As awful as this might sound, but you know what? When you're this bad, if you're Dick Monfort and Bill Schmidt, truthfully, any criticism, any cheap shots that come your way, shut the blank up. You've earned it. Any cheap shot that comes your way, I got news for you. There's no rebuttal. So here's my question. Would you like to see them chase down the Cleveland Spiders? Because, and I'm going to give you my answer first. I always root for the story.
Yeah.
Root for people first. But quite frankly, Dick Monfort's Dick Monfort, Bill Schmidt's Bill Schmidt. I do like Buddy Black a lot. I do like him a lot. But at the end of the day, what kind of story would that be to cover? For me, yes, it's not that I'm rooting for them to win like 20 games. I'm not opposed to it. You?
The only thing is the human element, and you've touched upon it. And if you're in that clubhouse, and I'm not in it as much as I used to be because of the 4-24 record. I mean, let's face it. And the last 3 years, I used to spend a fair amount of time in there, not too far long ago. So you do have the human component of how it grates on guys in that clubhouse. But ultimately, Eric, the question that you have to ask is how many of those guys in the clubhouse should be in that clubhouse, right? And I don't, yeah, and I don't mean to make, I don't mean to sound mean about that, but I think that that's kind of where we are. And I think we've talked about this a little bit, and I'll just mention it quickly. When people talk to me that are Rockies fans, and there are Rockies fans out there, and I do get it from them every now and then, they will say, well, young talent. Well, there's a difference between young and talent. I mean, just because you're young doesn't mean that you are a guy on a major league pipeline. Trejo is a really good example. He's the only time that this guy has played in the major leagues has been with the Colorado Rockies. And the first time that he was here, then off he went to the Rangers, and now he's back, and he's back in the big leagues. Never played a lick in the big leagues with the Texas Rangers. So, and I'm not trying to rain on his parade, but you have to start asking the question, do you have, just because you have young players, do you have players necessarily that are going to develop into major league talents? And I think that the answer right now isn't very clear about that. Or if it is, it's not a good one.
I don't think there's any reasonable person who follows the Rockies who would say the Rockies are not an incestuous organization. Yeah. They love to promote from within.
Yep.
And they love all of their former people. I mean, if you have literally walked in the door in Coors Field, you're probably part of the family and you have a chance to get hired or hired back. Trejo, and it happened a couple of days ago, was hitting 211 in AAA for the Texas Rangers.
Right.
And the Rockies gave cash for him. They brought in a guy who was hitting 211 in AAA. That is pathetic on so many different levels. And when you look at their roster, they do have some young talent. They also have a bunch of guys in their mid-30s.
Yeah.
Who should be playing in AAA. I mean, I think the best opportunity they have for a win this year, unfortunately, it's not on the schedule, but they will be at Coors Field. The Savannah Bananas are coming to town.
There you go.
Maybe, just maybe, the Rockies can schedule a game against them because they're going to be in town and ask Major League Baseball if they will count it.
Well, they may not like the result. Got to be careful about that, right? I mean,
well, with all the players dancing, and then you have the pitcher on stick, that could throw you off a little bit. And you have the catcher dancing, and
right.
All the players doing those things. So here's the thing, though. Let's say the Rockies go down this road, historically bad. I mean, we're talking Major League Baseball, Cleveland Spiders bad. What on a scale of 1 to 10, 10 being blow the whole thing up, 1 being nothing changes. It's like when you wake up in the morning on the lake and it's like glass on the water. There's nothing, no movement. Scale of 1 to 10, what does Dick Monfort do?
Oh, I don't think he's near 10. I that just doesn't seem to be his.
10. Yeah. What I'm saying is, if they win 29 games this year, where is Dick Monfort on that meter of making changes?
Yeah, well, you ask it. You use the water as smooth as glass is a pretty good thing to do because it would reflect your own image back. What does he see when he sees the Colorado Rockies? You and I see an opportunity for a big league club to be competitive in a great city with great following in a great ballpark.
All that said, we got to hit a break. What do you think? Do you think he fires Bill Schmidt? They win 29 games. Does he finally say, I got to fire this guy? I got to literally break out a broom and sweep everybody out the door?
I think, yes, but I don't know if he'd do it. I just don't know. I mean, that's the. I mean, right. Yes, But Eric, how long have they needed to do this? You and I've talked about this a ton. We've talked about it with Troy Rank. They just don't want anyone from the outside coming in with new ideas.
Don't answer in long-winded sentences.
All right.
Quickly, they win 29 games, scale of 1 to 10. 10 is DEFCON 5. 1 is he does nothing. Just give me a number. What do you think Dick Monfort does?
5.
Wow, isn't that sad?
I mean, seriously.
I know.
I mean, I wish I could say 8, 9, or 10. I wish I could, but you have to look at the example. You have to look at precedent, right? I don't know if winning baseball games is the most important thing for the Monfort family. I just don't know.
I think it is important. I just think they don't know how to do it, and they don't want to learn how to do it. I feel like, I mean, I don't feel like, but maybe, and I'm hoping maybe like in the movie Major League, Dick Monfort has a cardboard cutout of Bill Schmidt, and for every loss he takes off like a piece, right? And with all of those losses mounting, every piece coming off, he's standing there with Bill Schmidt is standing there with his pants around his ankles, and he finally says, okay, time to kick his bare ass out the door. Coming up after the break, the Nuggets are playing tonight. How good are you feeling about tonight's game? And why do I say that? Do you feel good about the team that won at the last second, built a 22-point lead in the fourth quarter? Or are you feeling like, oh my God, they blew a 22-point lead? That's next. Everyone has their favorite barbecue spot. Mine, Smokin' Dave's Barbecue and Brew. My favorites, slowly smoked ribs, smoked corned beef Reuben, smoked meatloaf with a portobello balsamic cream sauce. Don't forget about Smokin' Dave's 16-hour smoked brisket and pork with one of their 4 homemade barbecue sauces. Great sides, you bet. Barbecue beans made with pork and brisket and their southern corn bake. Man, you got to try it. Plus, they have amazing non-barbecue entrees on the menu. Go where I go, Smokin' Dave's Barbecue and Brew in North Denver.
Ever wondered where city and county fleet vehicles go when they retire? Now's your chance to find out and score big. Imagine driving away with a great deal on a reliable vehicle. For over 45 years, Roller Auction has been the trusted source for government fleet vehicles and equipment. Trucks, SUVs, sedans, and more, all selling to the highest bidder. Don't miss out. Visit roller.bid/hot takes to get auction updates today. Your next vehicle could be just a click away.
Spice up your next night out at Nola Jane and Lodo. Authentic Cajun cuisine like andouille sausage gumbo with dirty rice, crawfish etouffee, as well as 6 different po' boys like soft-shell crab and shrimp. Come in before or after a game at Ball Arena. Host a party or party on their rooftop deck overlooking Market Street during happy hour from 11 a.m. to 5. Plus, Nola Jane caters, delivers, and the kitchen is open late night. Make Nola Jane your new favorite spot to eat, drink, and party like it's Mardi Gras.
Sasquatch and Wildcard Casinos in Blackhawk have another incredible promotion. They'll be giving away a Ford Bronco Raptor or nearly $30,000 in cash the weekend of May 23rd. Get finalist entries from 10 a.m. until midnight during their daily cash drawings every 45 minutes or by redeeming player points. And all daily cash drawings that don't get picked are eligible for a second chance drawing on Wednesdays, and that can turn into extra cash. Sasquatch and Wildcard Casinos, a family-owned casino that treats you like family.
Everyone has their favorite sports bar. Mine, the Sportsbook Bar and Grill in Highlands Ranch in the DTC. Both locations are everything a sports bar should be. An upscale menu with 12 different burgers, outstanding wings, and my favorite, the Philly cheesesteak egg rolls. They've got every game on the NFL Sunday Ticket, MLB Extra Innings, NHL Center Ice, NBA League Pass, plus soccer, rugby, and UFC. Sportsbook is a hangout bar or great for private parties. The Sportsbook Bar and Grill in Highlands Ranch, the DTC, and coming soon to Parker. They are the sports bar. Welcome back. Hot Takes Goodman and Haertl. If you're going down to Ball Arena tonight to watch the Nuggets, I got a great place to pre- and post-game party. Same thing tomorrow night with the Avalanche against the Stars. Nola Jane is right around the corner. Do not overpay for food. Do not overpay for drinks. Nola Jane is easily the best Cajun cuisine in town. I can honestly tell you, and this is not hyperbole, the best meal I've ever had in my life is the crawfish etouffee at Nola Jane. it is like when I think about it, I'm like, I want to get some. I've had a lot of great meals in town. It's so incredibly different. And then you can take that etouffee and put it over blackened catfish. They have 6 different po' boys as well. Homemade cornbread. I'm a big gumbo guy. They have award-winning gumbo. Wash it down with a hurricane. Cajun food is different than barbecue. Cajun food is different than great bar food. They're all great in their own right. But there are certain things that just have a certain taste that tingles your taste buds. And that's what Nola Jane is to me specifically, that crawfish etouffee. Head on down there, pre and post game. Avs Nuggets as the playoffs are going on. Time now for what's trending. Well, that was interesting. That was what's trending. It was a neat graphic. That was the first time we ran it.
I like it.
It didn't work out exactly how we hoped, but that's okay. Technical difficulties happen. They happen, and I'm sure it'll be fixed by tomorrow. With that, Nuggets play the Clippers tonight at home, Game 5. Understand, Nuggets won the game, last-second shot, built a 22-point lead. Well, if you have to win on a last-second shot, building a 22-point lead means you blew a 22-point lead. Which team has the momentum heading into tonight?
Oh, I think the Clippers do. And Christian Brown, basically, that was his message yesterday. He said, look, Clippers have the momentum. We gave it all away. We have to establish the beachhead early in this game, and then we've got to be more consistent about it. And I thought, and Christian Brown was kind of the edge of the sword, really, for the Nuggets, I thought, in Game 4. Anyway, I think that he's going to be the tip of the sword again tonight, just with his energy, his man defense on James Harden. But he was adamant about it yesterday. I mean, and in no uncertain terms, he just said, it was a great finish to the game, but there would have never been a great finish to the game if we hadn't had such a bad fourth quarter. And there was a lot of things happening there. There was a zone defense that they simply didn't know what to do with. There was a natural inclination to try to take the air out of the ball. And think about this. In a game that is ruled by a 24-second clock, there are too many possessions in a quarter with a 24-second shot clock, even with a 22-point lead, to think that you can kind of take the air out of the ball and hope that you win instead of going through the front door and saying, here, I'm announcing my presence with authority. That's something that the Nuggets didn't do, but they did win. And there's another pool of thought, Eric, and you know this as well as anyone, that in the playoffs, it doesn't necessarily matter how you get there. It's how's the final result, learn from it, and then reload for the next game. So, yeah, a little of both, right?
When David Adelman took over as the interim head coach, I found it interesting that in the locker room, Adelman called everybody to the middle of the room, and it was Christian Brown who said 1, 2, 3 Nuggets.
Yeah.
Now you're hearing Brown say this leading into Game 5. Christian Brown right in the middle of it with James Harden. Nikola Jokic is the best player on the team. Sorry to state the obvious. He is certainly vocal. He is a leader. But is Christian Brown, is he evolved this quickly in a short amount of time into the vocal, consistent leader of this team, at the very least, overtaking Jamal Murray?
He certainly is. He's the physical and emotional example on the floor.
He is that. He is the heartbeat, as they say.
Yes. And obviously, Jokic has changed the way that he is led. He is much more, as you say, much more vocal, much more challenging. But in terms of the position that he plays that allows him to make the statement that he does in his leadership, Christian Brown is in a great place. He has his hands on the ball a lot. He's defending the point a lot, the guy with the ball on the other side. So he is in a unique position to affect the game almost on every possession, down the floor and then back. And he's just got nasty in him.
Yes.
He just does. And that's something that we knew coming out of the University of Kansas. He's a guy that plays with attitude. He's a guy that's improved enough to play with attitude and confidence against some of the best players in the game. I think that he is really embracing the challenge of dealing with James Harden. He talked about the little scuffle, the little kerfluffle that they had the other day. He kind of chuckled about it. He said, that's just two dudes that are competitive, that are facing each other and are guarding each other for not only one game, but for probably 6 or 7 games. Those things are going to happen. But I do like the dog that's in Christian Braun. And I think it's a good thing for this team to have a guy like that. I think that there's some dog elements in this team. I think Aaron Gordon's got some dog in him. Yeah. Oddly, I think Nikola Jokic has got a little bit of dog in him too. He's got a lot of dog.
No, he's got a lot of dog in him. Here, Christian Braun is more effusive.
Right. That's the way to put it. Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
Certainly that. With that, the Nuggets bench in the last game played a total of 26 minutes, 4 points. Points would have been higher if Russell Westbrook would have played. He is expected to play tonight. Adelman is now the second coach outside of Malone who has shown almost no confidence in his bench. With that, does this validate Malone not wanting to use his bench? And how much does this solidify that Calvin Booth did not build a very good roster, specifically with the bench?
Well, I think Malone wanted to use his bench. I think Adelman wants to use his bench, right. but you gotta have confidence in the bench to use them. Yeah, and
my point is, right. Who was right, Malone or Booth? And the arguments were behind the scenes. How come you're not using my bench? Why would I use your bench? It's not very good. But I wanted all of these young guys to be able to play, get them playing time. But when I do put them on the floor, they're not very effective. So you had this going on all the time. Now that we are in the playoffs, even when these guys get on the floor, they're not that great. They're not that impactful. So you can make the case, at least from my point of view, Malone was right and Booth was wrong.
I think you can certainly make that case, and it's not going to change, by the way. The only thing that I think David Adelman is using the bench for right now is the necessity of getting guys just a couple of minutes to catch their breath here and there. I really mean that. I think that's exactly, he as much said it to us yesterday. He as much said, I've just got to be, he understands that he's got to have those 5 guys on the floor as much as he possibly can together in order to win. Eric, they've won 2 games by an average of 2 points. You talk about the margin for error in these series. The way that the Nuggets are winning right now, they are doing it by the skin of their teeth.
You know what this feels like? The Nuggets starters getting rest. It feels like a pit stop at the Indianapolis 500. They come in, okay? The driver gets a rest for a second, but the pit crew is changing the tires, changing the oil, changing this, and they're back out there 15 seconds later.
Yeah, you're right. That's a really very accurate analogy. How quickly can we get those tires changed to get you back out there? And I think that, and I don't know if that starting 5 is a little treadbare right now,
Bruce.
But we're fixing to find out.
Bruce, let me just state the obvious here, and I put this on X last night, and I'm not breaking any news here. The Nuggets have no chance to win a title this year. Zero. It's 0.0. It's not even 0.1%. It's 0.0. It's as likely as any pitcher in Major League Baseball this year having 40 complete games.
Yeah.
It's that likely, okay? And here's the reason why. Because I went and crunched some numbers, not quite frankly, that it took a lot of effort to crunch these numbers, okay? Besides overloading the Nuggets starters with minutes, after Westbrook, Peyton Watson is 7th in scoring on the team with 3 points a game. Every single other guy on the roster is not averaging at least 1 point or at least 1 assist or at least 1 rebound per game in the playoffs.
In the playoffs, right.
They have, outside of Peyton Watson, they have literally gotten 0.2, 0.7 production per game in either points, assists, or rebounds. They are too deep. And the guy who is 7th, who's the second depth piece on that bench, is averaging 3 points a game. It is a 6-man team, essentially. The starters, Westbrook, and then Peyton Watson, who's getting 14 minutes a game, averaging 3 points. Other than that, I am giving this team more production coming off my couch than anybody else in the basketball arena. They can't win this way. I mean, I hope they beat the Clippers. They are literally going to get run out of the gym by Oklahoma City. Not only because they're a great team, but because of their depth as well. They're going to wear down the Nuggets, wear them down. And then, for some reason, they advance. Oh, Western Conference Finals, these guys are going to be out of gas. You can't, you have to have something. You got to have a longer pit stop.
Eric, we've seen this before. Game 7 last year, Minnesota Timberwolves. I mean, we've seen it.
This might be historically bad for a playoff team where you are too deep and your second guy is averaging 3 points a game. And then you literally get nothing from anybody else. This is a 6-man team in the playoffs right now. They're a 6-man team. They're not even, they're barely they're a 6.5-man team. I'll give a half to Peyton Watson. They don't go 8 deep. They don't go 9 deep. They get 0 production from 8 on. 0. Look at the box score. It's all zeros.
Yeah.
The bench is a 0. They 3 points a game out of the second guy off the bench. I mean, can you ever think in all the years you've covered basketball, college or pro,
no,
that your 7th guy is averaging 3 points a game, and then after him, it's zeros throughout points, rebounds, and assists? It is, I'm sorry, Calvin Booth. That's what you put together.
And the unforeseen consequence of that is that it puts, I think, directly more pressure on the starting 5 to do what they have to do in the time that they're out there. And you've got 2 guys in Jamal Murray coming off a 7 for 15 shooting night, and Michael Porter Jr., who can be very good, yes, and has been good in this series on occasions, but has times where he goes away and hides, and you don't really see him being a difference maker. So it's almost double indemnity. You're not getting any production out of anybody off the bench, and it's putting more pressure on guys that are playing all of these minutes, 34, 36, 38, 40 minutes, to do more with what they have. And you've got a couple of guys that, frankly, have been inconsistent, even in this series. Even in this series, they've been inconsistent. So, yeah, I mean, I really want to see them win this game tonight. I want to see them win this game tonight and put the pressure on the Clippers to come back and win a couple of straight games. I think it would make this series very interesting. I picked the Clippers in 7 in this series. I'm sticking to that. But to your point, and it's a good one, the road gets harder, not as you go in the playoffs, not just because you're playing better teams, but because you're wearing down in the process. And
Correct.
that is well stated by you.
Okay. One quick question. Give me a quick, simple answer
Quick.
before we
Okay.
go. Which is worse, the Nuggets bench or the Cleveland Browns quarterback room?
Well, at least they've got a Super Bowl in out of the quarterback room.
Yeah,
So
from 1955 from Joe Flacco.
Well, he appreciates that. I think it's the Nuggets bench.
Yeah.
I really do, Eric.
Yeah.
I think it's the Nuggets bench. Yikes.
Sad.
Yeah.
That's the highest compliment I've paid Shedeur Sanders in a week. And you too. With that, that's going to do it for us. Hot Takes, Goodman and Haertl. Make it the best possible day you can.